But this is, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through how we have the history tracking kind of steps and how it's set up in the PSO. So when we do a new release, this is kind of what we do on the PSO level. So this is what we'll kind of want to replicate for our regression testing. When I logged into this org, I was brought to the SpecRate admin application. We might not always be in it. Sometimes we might be defaulting to the spec management application. So if that is the case, we can go ahead and just navigate to the admin one first because we want to check which objects we have history tracking configured for. So we'll click on the history tab, or the history tracking tab, excuse me, and then we'll go ahead and kind of take a look and see that we have quite a lot of items to kind of capture here. So the main ones that we can kind of take a look at for the sake of the regression testing would be packaging. We can do formulas, ingredients, we can do finished goods, and then we'll kind of pay attention to some of the connections between there. We'll make sure that create and update are checked, so that we're tracking that information. And then for some of them, we have related lists that we want to show, right? So let's just say for the packaging one, we want to show the history on the packaging to material connections. So essentially what that means is every time that there's a material connected to a packaging record, we will go ahead and track that information. So you'll notice we have to ensure that we have history tracking on that object itself. So let's go ahead and just kind of jump in. So I'll leave this tab open just for the sake of having it open, and then I'll navigate to spec management so we can kind of go in here first, check this. So I'll come to specifications. For the sake of the test, we can go ahead and just create a new one. We can leave it as bottle. Spec name, we can call this history tracking testing. We can leave everything else as it is. We don't have to input any other information. So we'll first do this as an admin just to make sure that it works for us to be expected. So here we have history tracking. I can go to the history tab. We have history created. We do not track really all of the other fields that are there. So here we can even confirm which fields. So if we go to packaging, we can go here and we can see what fields. There may be some new fields that are added to the system, to the managed package, that we don't have down at the bottom. Yeah, you'll notice there's quite a lot. So we can always just hit this and save for the sake of testing. Not necessary, as we have most of them already tracked, but always good to check. So yeah, in the recent release, we actually changed our history tracking so that we're not creating a bunch of records upon create. So previously, if I had filled out, all this entire section, all of this would be written in history, that there was data created. While valuable, not necessary, because if I come in here and I change this to testing 2, so I'll make some updates to various field types within the system. So this one is a text area. Here we have a pick list. We can say that that's in pounds. We have supplier. We can go ahead and just pick one in the system, kind of try to fill out, a bunch of different fields to see kind of what happens. 250, we can say 275, just fill out a couple of data points. We can check how to recycle just to make sure that we're capturing really as much information as we can. Cool. We'll save. So we made quite a few changes. We can kind of, make sure we keep track of all of them. We'll notice that these fields also were populated. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the history tracking. And so we'll need to refresh the page because the page does not automatically refresh for us. And that's okay. So cool. So we have our created, and then we have updated, right? We filled in the declared fill milliliters based off of the ounces, right? So that's that we can see the unit of measure is working on the back end. This is a formula field, doesn't really matter, but it's capturing that information when we put in the supplier. New value of the spec name. Here we have our, this will tell us what the original value was, right? false to true. So we're also capturing checkboxes. We have pounds, stuff like that. So we can say that this is accurate. So then I can come to the materials section because um, we wanted to check the materials related list. We want to make sure that related list tracking is working. So we'll go ahead and click new. We can search for any materials. Luckily, I have some in here. I'm just going to just click plastic for the sake of clicking plastic. We'll say this is 25 grams. We'll say this has 45, 45. Cool. We'll go ahead and hit enter. So we'll see we have some information. For the sake of this, I'm going to go ahead and just refresh the page just to make sure that we are able to view the new history. And so we'll see that quite a lot of stuff was updated. A lot of it is going to be in our, so this is our most recent update. A lot of it is going to be based off of the packaging component because of roll-ups. So all of these are roll-ups changes. So every time we make a connection, we input quite a lot of information. So here's the material that is rolled up. We also have the packaging material connection creation. So we can also see that some stuff changed down here in this section. If I were to come here and edit for any reason, we can go ahead and edit and say, you know what, maybe it's 30 grams, and we can hit save. We can do a refresh on the page and see that we now have 30 grams in our plastic. We can go to history and we can see that the mass had changed. And the pound equivalent changed because of our other ones. And you'll notice some other stuff changed as well. So that's that. We can kind of continue the same steps in formulas to ingredients. So if I wanted to, I can create a new formula, connect it to an existing ingredient in the system. If I'm on an ingredient, I can go and create a new ingredient, and then I can go into, let's say, allergens or something like that and connect it if I really want to, or I can just create an ingredient and make sure that history was working. Those are the ones that we will kind of check for. So that's a general check as an admin. Okay. So now that we've done our tests as an admin user, we can go ahead and log in as a standard user. And then this is just kind of what our standard user looks like. Kind of the keys that they have, create or delete. Permission sets for the various objects that you're doing testing on, be it finished good, formula, whatever. It's probably best to check so that we know. But the most important one that they have access to is going to be this general access permission set within the PSO. This is kind of what grants access to really everything needed to use functionality and stuff like that. So we'll go ahead and log in as Leandria. So we're logged in. We can just kind of run the same set of steps. So we'll go in here. We can do a can. Can really be whatever we want. Hit save. Oh, we didn't have it fixed. Hold on. Okay. Well, you're gonna see me fix that really quickly. again. Hopefully we don't get an error this time. Awesome. So we can confirm history that we see something created. Let's go ahead and just make a few edits. Test will say Acme tear weight 12 style lib. Fine, we'll hit save. We'll test it. History is displaying the proper information, and then we'll go ahead and just connect the material. Let's see if we have any metal. Let's see, what do we have? Steel, cool, steel can, we'll select that. 12 grams. Cool, I know we'll need to refresh the page, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. We can check history, we can see that we made a material. We can go do the same steps that we did the last time, right, where we edited it. So let's edit, and we can say that it's got, 12 PCR, 12 PIR. Go ahead and hit save, and that should push some information up on the page. So let's just go ahead and run quick. We have some, recycled information now. History, we can see, there's stuff moved. So that is the kind of the same kind of testing that we would do as a standard user. And then you can just log out and you're all good.